Hello all, and welcome to this post-work beer review. And yeah, kind of hoping I can review everything I got to review before January 1st, because dry January starts then. And yeah, I might actually forego some of my traditions to to just try to get everything covered. And so what are we covering today? Well, like I said in some previous reviews, I went to Hana. I went to Tamura's and I saw Hanakoa had released some beers, and it's like they're quickly becoming my favorite local brewery just because they release so many beers that there are some in styles that I just cannot wait to try. And I didn't want to go and wait to try this until February because it'll probably be gone by February and I'll never see it again. So, yeah, I just went and picked up the two beers that I really, really wanted to review. And so this is the first of them. And this is the Norm. As you can see, it's Norm from Cheers, drinking a beer there. And this is a pre-prohibition style lager, 5.0 ABV. And yeah, let's go and read the back. So let me get my glasses out here. Because God knows I'm not going to be able to see that without them. Okay. Keep it simple. At the end of the day, we all just want to go to a place where everyone knows our name and they're always glad we came. Today we face unprecedented division, empty pockets, and small rectangles that occupy our eyes more than reality. To fix this problem, we present to you the Norm. Always cheerful, filled with wisdom, and it tastes great to boot. Tastes great to boot. This American pre-prohibition style lager transports us back to a simpler time where the bar top had a greater population than internet users. And before you say the internet is new, it's not. 1969 was when it was created. There you go. We can just hang out and not have to post it. You're welcome. Yeah. So, as you know, I've already sampled a can of this, and let me tell you, as I've said in multiple reviews in the past, one of my favorite kinds of beer is beer flavored beer. And this is definitely beer flavored beer. So yeah, let's go and pour this out already. We're going to be pouring this into a pint glass, a regular pint glass, because I wanted something classic to pour this into. So, very classic golden yellow, nicely carbonated as you can see, with a foamy white head. Mm. Cereal malts, kind of grassy and floral hopping. Yeah, this has a very grainy and kind of noble hop sort of presence, but not quite. There's not that spice. It's more grassy and floral. Just melds so well with that graininess. Okay, onto the palate now. Mm. Oh, that is some beer flavored beer that is very intensely beer flavored. Can't can't go and describe it any other way. So you get a nice hit of bitterness up front. but it doesn't go into resiny or piney. It's just bitterness. Very thick, crackery malts to balance out that bitterness. Very subtle sweetness, but mostly dry from the mids into the finish. Long finish is of grainy breads in the top note with a lasting bitterness in the finish. Finishes clean on the palate. Despite the 5.0 ABV, it has some heft to it, in the mouthfeel. But yeah, this tastes of malts and hops. It really is kind of hard to describe, other than it's like, well, it got sort of grainy cerealness, and you got some nice stiff hopping um, that lends itself to a bitterness, a lasting bitterness, but doesn't have all these other flavor notes kicking in. You know, it's just so simple, so perfectly in tune with itself. And it's refreshing. It really makes me want to go back to the 1920s, and kind of figure out, well, I guess like the 1900s, I guess, early 1900s, and like, this is what they were drinking before Prohibition? Dang. Man. It's actually kind of weird how hard it is to go and find beer flavored beer nowadays. I guess that's why I love the cream ale style. Um, California Common, though that definitely has a more nuanced malt, malt bill to it. Um, Pilsners, other German lagers. This is just damn fine beer. As it warms up, it's like, you know, the tastes are kind of broadening, but it's not really changing much. It's just, you know, not complex, but just so enjoyable. I would love to see more of these pre-prohibition style lagers because I would like to see more pre-prohibition style beers. Period. You know, in some ways, I kind of have a, I kind of feel like I have a greater understanding of what that sort of severing point in between like the beers of old and then the post-prohibition kind of beers because and this is going to be a little bit of a rant at the end of the video, but bear with me here. I am a tobacco pipe smoker. I smoke tobacco in a pipe, which is probably one of the so tobacco is not smoking tobacco is not popular anymore in general, for obvious reasons. And pipe smoking is probably one of the least popular ways of consuming tobacco, other than, say, nasal snuff, which is the other way I consume tobacco. I kind of stopped because it was creating issues, whereas pipe tobacco kind of hasn't for me. Um, but I'm in my late 40s. I got into pipe smoking in my early 20s. And that was really at the tail end of like the era. Most of them, I was like the youngest guy in the pipe shop. Most of those people there were in their 60s to 80s, you know. And also too, a lot of the older blends were starting to die off at that time or being bought out by larger conglomerations. And nowadays, all pipe tobacco is basically owned by about 3 to 4 different corporations if you kind of count it that way. It's a bit more complicated than how like post-prohibition beer was, but generally speaking, it's like the there are the people that provide like the base tobaccos are the same like 3 people. So and the blenders can be kind of different, but they all kind of have to go through like the same sort of source, um, you know, distributors and sourcing, and I guess distribution units. So like Laudisi is one. I forget what the Pipes and Cigars is the other. They go under a different corporate name, but you know. But anyways, all these old brands started being bought up by like large corporations, and I was around to kind of go and see like what it was like when the previous blenders had that tobacco versus the current one that is available. And just seeing that loss of depth of flavor and complexity, and you know, it really does make me sad because, like I said, I came along at the very tail end of it when like all the old school blenders were already dead or on their last legs, and you know, I sort of live now in this world where it I wouldn't say it's completely homogenized. One of the reasons I like pipe tobacco is because so many blends are different. There's so many different types of tobacco, varietals of tobacco out there, that it keeps on being interesting to me. But I am aware of a sense of loss of history and continuity from what was. And we're a dying breed, us pipe smokers. I mean, every now and then I'll run into a guy who is younger than me who smokes a pipe, but most of them are still older than me or my age. So yeah, will that ever change? Will there ever be like a craft pipe tobacco movement? Well, I'll probably be dead when that happens, honestly. Uh, Probably when this entire sort of puritanism about tobacco passes. I don't know how to put it any other way. This is not the first time this has happened in history. There was a time in the 1600s when it was much the same, in which it was heavily prohibited and regulated by governments, and that sort of passed. And I kind of feel that this, this current period of prohibition shall pass after several decades, either due to medical advances or societal decline. And what I mean by that is either they'll cure the problems that smoking causes, or society will decline enough that the nicotine, which is such an excellent coping mechanism, people don't really care that they're going to die of something in their 70s from smoking young. But I don't know. This is turned into a rant video of sorts. um, I may have offended some people here. I don't know how all of you all feel about smoking, but I mean, I'm not a cigarette smoker. I'm a pipe smoker. So I'm a dying breed, man. I'm a dodo bird. Well, anyways, back to the original point of this review. Best and most concise beer reviewer ever. The Norm from Hana, just an excellent beer-flavored beer, pre-prohibition lager. And that, folks, is your beer review for this evening. Cheers. Hey, that's the name of the show. Ha!